For time beyond memory, people have experienced at first hand physical, visual, and auditory events which could not be explained, and so it was feared. Today, we call this the paranormal. Our podcast will delve into this world of the unknown. So sit back and join Tina, Jake, Chris, Bridget, and Bill and journey into the darkness with us. Welcome to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 15 of the Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. And this evening we're changing things up slightly. What we have decided to do, we're going to have a little interview with Billy.
Hi guys.
So he's all excited
I'm
here.
all excited, yeah.
Christopher?
Yeah.
Are you with us?
Christopher's
I'm
all
here.
confused now because I've done his intro nearly.
Yeah, no one told me
It's changed.
the whole the whole format was changing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so now I have introduced him, so now we'll go over to Chris and Chris can...
Double introduce
Yeah.
me.
So tonight, guys, we're going to have an interview with Billy. No, guys, welcome aboard. As they say, episode 15, which is absolutely fantastic.
15.
Yeah,
That's more than 14.
15. We're actually halfway there to 30.
It's there or
There to 30, yeah. Tonight, guys, it seems that Billy is our go-to guy in relation to sound and all things audio. I could be corrected now because that could be a thing Billy's going to correct during tonight now. In relation to sound, audio, etc. We're going to have a little interview session with our go-to guy. So, Billy,
Yes, sir.
you've been interested in sound quite a long time. You make quite a lot of it during the.
The boom.
you make quite a lot of
It
sound.
all goes back to when I was born, with listening to things.
But no, Billy, generally, you love the sound aspect of the investigating the paranormal. So would you like to give us a little intro there of where to start and where we're going to go from
I'll
here?
tell you kind of why I got into the sound. It's just when I started getting into the paranormal, it was always kind of like the audio aspect of it, the noises and stuff like that, that kind of interested me. And watching TV over the years and TV programs on paranormal and stuff like that, and kind of just the audio kind of just captured me. And obviously I play guitar really well, just for anybody out there that doesn't know. And I'm into my metal music like Chris and Tina and Jake boy here. And well, Tina Boyzone, sorry. And we won't call that audio.
Boys are on it, isn't it?
we'll edit that bit out in case any Boyzone fans. But yeah, so it's always struck me as really, really interesting kind of aspect of it.
Yeah. It's would you say it's your favourite aspect rather than visual, rather than, I suppose, the senses like touch and all that kind of stuff? Would you say sound is your favourite aspect of, we won't say the word evidence, but just for the topic of discussion, we'll say evidence.
Yeah.
Would you say that's your favourite style?
Absolutely.
And why?
Sorry for cutting across you.
No, you're
you
all right.
bring anybody to a location and you put them into a room when it's dark and they can't see nothing.
Yeah.
You're just relying on your hearing.
Yeah.
And like, we've been to so many places with the public and even ourselves, and if something drops or there's a noise suddenly, everyone screams, and it's the noise that gets everybody. That little tweet was a Tweety Bird. That's audio. Interesting. We'll have to figure that one out. But yeah, so it's just when you're in that zone kind of, and that quietness and what's in it, what's out there. You know, it's always interested me.
Because you're going through anomalies, let's say, things that nobody can hear except you when you're going through, and then you
I wouldn't
pull it off.
say nobody can hear it. It's there to be kind of heard, if you know what I mean. I'm just pulling the sound out of the white noise. That's basically
you've
that's
an
how
ear
I
for
see
it.
it. That's how I see my job on the
Yeah.
team. The sound is there. If we pick up an anomaly, it's picked up. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm just magically pulling it out of the
So,
thin air.
Right, so before you go into that, talk us through the process. Like we talked about, you talked about white noise. What is the process, I suppose, from Billy Cullen's point of view? Being a part of PRI, if I said to you, you're going here tomorrow night, the only bit of equipment that you have is the digital recorder. Talk us through your own process.
First thing I do is go to the loo, and then I do a little dance.
Then he does meditation.
Then I do meditation.
Overnight.
I don't eat because Tina will tell you that I always turn up at
Hungry.
an event at a paranormal investigation and I haven't had my dinner.
Yeah, you're always
So I'm always hungry, but I find that helps concentrate. So what was the question again, Chris?
What is your process? What is your method of trying to capture something of interest via sound?
Well, the first thing that I would personally do is make sure that there are no outside noise sources.
Okay, such as?
Just animals, wind, other people talking, chatter, cars, anything like that. First of all, you have to rule out that you're in a location where if there is background noise that you can filter through that, because sometimes, like if you're in a location, there might be a lot of wind outside or something like that, so you kind of have to factor that. Secondly is finding the best place to put the digital recorder, whether it be locked off or whether it be with somebody, and if it's with somebody, if they make a sound, you have to tag that sound and things like that. Thirdly is if I'm setting up with the laptop, making sure that everything is working properly, because you want to make sure batteries are charged if there's no power and stuff like that. And I know it sounds mediocre, but it's actually really important that you've new batteries.
100% agree.
And the batteries are working for everything. Like, that's probably more important than anything.
Yeah.
For the equipment, test the equipment, make sure everything's working. So yeah, and then I have secrets that I won't tell anybody. They're nothing to do with paranormal, but it's just I have secrets.
So no, that's actually good, because again, like, we do have a fair idea the way you investigate, but it's good. This is almost like an interview. Yeah. Or a job.
Yeah. I don't want it.
Billy, we're not replacing you, don't worry. So you've got everything set. 1 or 2 digital recorders, which would you recommend?
I would recommend to have 2 or more.
Why is that?
Because if you pick up an anomaly on one, if the second digital recorder picks it up, you've got twice the evidence, and then a lot of times I would have a handheld digital recorder that has instant playback. So if you think you hear something like an AVP, which is actual voice phenomenon, a lot of people don't know much about that. It's kind of a newish thing. We'll talk about it later, but if you hear something, you can play back and listen to it and tag the time and stuff like that.
I think what comes across, and again from the people listening who've been on investigations with us, some publics, it takes, even from your point of view, from investigating with you, it takes a lot of patience.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Like, I've seen you and been witness to you standing in a place on your own for quite a bit of time, not making any sound.
Yeah,
does that make sense to you?
Like, obviously you have to breathe and stuff like that. But if I'm in a room, I'll have the digital recorder away from me, so hopefully it's not picking up my breath or when I yawn. Because you do yawn, like, you know what I mean, and other noises come out sometimes.
I yawn an awful lot when you're around me.
Yeah, so does everybody. Probably listen to this podcast, Jake, am I right?
But no, it is something that comes across. Like, even, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but even if you're, for talk's sake, asking a question, like, give us an example of not like a common question you might ask if you're in a generic location.
Just is there anybody here with us? Like, anything at all, like, you know. But
what I'm trying to get, so you'd ask that, how long would you leave between that? Do you know what I mean?
If I was on my own, I would probably leave 2 minutes.
Right.
If I'm with a group, probably 30 to 40 seconds.
Right.
Because after that, floorboards start creaking. And it's okay to tell somebody to stand still for a while, but after a while, it's
understandable.
You know.
Is there
more of a chance of noise with the more people?
No, 100%, absolutely. And is there a reason you might leave it that length?
I have left it that length. It's self-discovery, really, because doing it for as long as I've been doing it, I kind of worked out that that's sometimes an anomaly will pick up after a minute.
Yeah.
Like, it won't be. Yeah. And sometimes an anomaly will pick up after 3 or 4 questions to the first question, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
So the patience thing applies to the investigating side of it, but also applies to the analysing.
Yeah, it's very boring. Like, it's I won't say it's not boring. The analysing isn't the boring part. It's
right
when you're standing in a room for 3 or 4 hours, which I have done, doing an audio session. It can can be boring and tedious, but you kind of have to just focus and remember what you're there for.
So we'll just talk it through. So now you've done your little investigation. You've got
My
your
little investigation. My little investigation.
You've done your 15-hour
My
investigation.
little investigation.
And
My superb investigation. Chris.
exactly. And you've got your recording or recordings. What's the process then?
The process is I never do it the same night. I usually give it 2 or 3 days till I kind of just desensitize myself, because when you're concentrating like that, you kind of want to step away from it completely, because if you get straight into it, you'll want to hear stuff, or you might hear stuff
That's a very good point.
I mean, like it's like pareidolia kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's audio pareidolia. You might hear something and you won't unhear that.
Yeah.
If you give it a few days, you kind of forget.
And one thing you never, when you put up the recordings onto the page, you'd never put up and say what you hear. You'd put up and
That's
say,
a very good point.
what do you hear?
What do you hear?
Because as you say, you can influence other
you
people.
can influence, and that's the last thing we want to do. Is a lot of, it's unfortunate, but a lot of people who do put up EVPs tell people what it is. I have never done that. I don't tell the team what I hear. So I just think it's wrong, because you're already putting an idea into somebody's.
It's like influencing.
Yeah, you're influencing them.
Like there mightn't be any kind of malintent behind it. It could be just something innocently.
It's innocently done.
I agree with not saying what you think it is, because then it's like you're getting the general consensus of what.
And if it does come back and they hear the same thing, which it can be rare, because everyone kind of might hear different things, but on the occasion that it has come back as the same thing, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
So you've got your recording. You don't do it on the same night, the analysing part of it. No. To be fair, you've kind of, that is a good reason. You want to desensitize yourself to the actual
location.
Exactly. So now you're at home. Is it? I know the answers to this, but I'm letting on I don't. So then the next step is you upload it to the program, is it?
Upload it to the laptop, and what I usually do is I do it at night time, first of all, in a complete dark room.
Why is that?
Because then you're back kind of in that kind of zone again.
Yeah.
You're back in that headspace.
All right.
And all other kind of outside influences are kind of, you're just focused on the audio. You're not focused on anything else. No TV, nothing.
And was that always the case, or did you develop?
No, it's just always the case.
Always the case. Okay.
Anytime you were ringing, if you caught anomalies or anything, it would always be
late at night.
Okay.
2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it would always be that you'd get a text or
the neighbour was saying, "There's a screen next door."
Yeah.
It frightened the life out of myself. You know.
But we're going to get into that later. The most interesting. Anyway, so you've uploaded it. You do it in the dark environment, we'll call it. How long would you sit there?
An hour a session.
Yeah.
An hour, half hour. You wouldn't do more than that.
And is that's your own kind of method?
I would loop that. Like I would loop like 20 minutes over an hour.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't listen to an hour, because you have to. If you hear something, you have to go back over it again.
Right.
First of all, I listen to it without any bias.
Right.
So, and then if I hear something, I tag it on a timeline so I can go back to it. So there could be 3 tags.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to 20 minutes and 32 seconds.
Yeah.
0.00, whatever it is.
What kind of things, I don't want to get into the specific, what kind of, what I mean is, would you hear, what's the word I'm looking for, what kind of common things would be on any recording, does that make sense to you? Like a bang, a pop?
You would be surprised at the amount, like crackles and pops.
That's,
obviously.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised the amount of times you can hear wind from, like, no matter where you are in a building.
Really?
Because drafts, these things are very sensitive, so they pick up drafts.
They pick up everything.
So I'd say wind.
Okay, that's the most common.
That's the most, or draft, kind of air moving.
Okay.
Yeah, emphasize on what type of wind.
Yeah. Not that wind, Jake.
Guys, there has been quite a few recordings now.
Yeah, I have a lot of that actually. I almost uploaded sometime.
But
and then you hear somebody saying, "What's that smell of sulfur?"
What's that smell of sulfur? Yeah.
But generally it is drafts and stuff. That's the most common kind
I'd say drafts and pops and clicks and stuff.
Okay. Is there anything, I know you, to be fair to you did say going non-biased, which is brilliant. Is there anything, this is probably contradicting what you were saying, but is there anything you might look for commonly, like voices, bangs, any of that kind of stuff?
I kind of just let it do its own thing.
Let it do it,
'cause
okay.
if you start to try and expect stuff, you're
Okay.
going to put bias into your own
Yeah,
head.
it makes sense.
You know
Makes
what I mean?
sense.
So I just listen to it for what it is, and
Okay,
it's like
very
listening
good.
to a new album each time,
Okay.
because no two places are the same, no two recordings are the same.
What's the longest session you've ever done in regards?
4.5 hours in Loftus Hall.
Really?
Class.
4.5 hours in Loftus Hall. Yeah,
On your own?
on my own, completely on my own. You guys were in the canteen. I think you might have been in other parts, but you
Yeah.
were on the
Away.
very far side.
Yeah.
We had
You
to
cut
make
stuff
sure,
then,
sorry.
didn't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Because
cut
that's
stuff down.
tapestry
We'll
room.
get back into that later, yeah.
The tapestry.
Yeah.
Okay. So 4.5, that's a fair stint,
Yeah.
to be fair now.
To concentrate on that, like, alone was, and
Yeah.
to listen to that takes probably 3 days.
So that's what I was going to get
Yeah.
into next. So what people have to understand, and it took me a while to get this as well, you could do a 20-minute recording, but that's multiplied
That's
by
2 hours.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's multiplied because you might hear something. I'm not trying to steal your
Yeah.
interview here.
No.
You could hear a pop or a bang, and you might have to replay that 5, 6, 7 times to.
I tend to dismiss pops and bangs
Right.
unless I know that if I've asked for 2 taps, then maybe
I get you.
2. But I
Yeah.
tend to just glaze over them a bit. Just the more you do it, kind of, the more familiar you get with background noise.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
You become familiar with the usual
yeah.
sounds that you might hear
Yeah.
in a common building.
We're very lucky as well in today's technology with the programs we have that I have an audio spectrograph, so I can actually look at
Yeah.
the sound as it's happening. So it'll give me little red dots and stuff like that, so I can say there might
Very
be
good.
sound down there.
Oh, very good.
So-
It hurts. Yeah.
What programs do you use? What
I
do you like?
use,
Like, what's a good one? Let's say if somebody was out there and they're looking. The one thing people go into investigating, and they buy the equipment and they get their basic little
Digital
recorder,
recorders,
the digital recorder. What programs? Because a lot of people,
There's-
they wouldn't download. It would be literally just plugging in.
Many out there now, just Jesus. There's
What one do
hundreds.
you like?
The one I use is Adobe Audition.
Oh, very
It's absolutely amazing.
good. Yeah,
You can tweak the sound so much, and it's really good for filtering stuff,
Yeah.
filtering out background
Yeah.
noise.
because that's the whole thing. You want to filter out the
Yeah.
noises that you know.
Yeah, like a lot of EVPs that people put up will have a lot of hissing and crackling. I tend to try and get rid of as much of that as possible.
Mm.
It's impossible to get rid of all of it, but
Yeah.
No, and then you want to pull up the sound you're
pull up the
interested
sound without distorting it.
in. Yeah,
That's the big thing, isn't it?
yeah.
Without distorting the sound.
Yeah,
Because a
can't
lot.
distort.
What would you say? Let's say somebody that's going into, because so many teams we're seeing popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
Like so in Ireland, and Ireland's tiny. So
Yeah.
many teams. Is there anything you'd want to say somebody that's starting off doing the recording, or if they're interested in doing the recording end of it?
Patience. Just honestly, it's all about patience.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
go online, and I'm sure nearly every paranormal team out there now will have their own favorite programs. So, like, I have Adobe Audition. There's Cubase. There's so many of them.
Mm.
There's so many programs. So
Mm.
I wouldn't really be worried about the program. It's not the program. It's the most important part are your ears, and that's
Some people don't have the ear for it.
Yeah.
So I don't have the ear
I'll
for
hold
it. I
my
can't
hand up.
hear.
I
Yeah,
don't.
but
I
it's
do
something to do with
not.
music, isn't it? Like a lot of
It's
people
not,
that are into music, or
Beg your pardon?
it's just not you.
Excuse me?
Chris. That's what I'm saying.
it's
just not you.
patience. It's trying to.
You're not a
it's-
music
it's-
fan.
When you hear something, it's knowing how to pull that sound out without distorting it, obviously.
Yeah.
And there is knowledge behind it and stuff like that. You have to know a little bit about
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah,
and
to do it.
to do it. But I would advise anybody that's starting out just to read up on actual sound and audio itself and how it works, and like how the hertz works. Like we hear between 20 and 20,000 hertz, and we usually pick up the anomaly anything below 20 hertz. So under the human hearing range.
Yeah.
And then you're getting into
That's the
infrasound.
part that I was interested in
Yeah,
when you were first explaining it to me
yeah, you're
years
getting
ago.
into infrasound then, and that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
That's the sound waves are really long. Sorry,
Yeah.
not hitting the mic there. The sound waves are really, really long, and they travel a lot further, and they can travel underground and through
Right.
water. And stuff like that.
Mad.
Yeah.
Like 1,000,000,000%, I definitely do not have the ear for it. I prefer visual rather than now. If I hear an audio,
I would love to
that's-
see something.
do you know what I mean?
I'd love to see something.
just as investigating, my preferred would be visual, and that's not absolutely no disrespect to the audio. I just don't have an ear for it. You know?
I put it like this, right? I put it to you like this. If you watch a horror movie, okay, and you hear, you know, that that sound and all that music that goes on in the background and etc. etc. If they were to play something like a Mickey Mouse theme tune over it, like, you wouldn't have the same effect. It's the audio that gets you in the movie. It's
It'd be scarier.
It'd be scarier.
Yeah, probably would actually.
It'd be scarier with Mickey Mouse.
I'm gonna murder you.
But oh, you're not. Just Billy, I tell you, you're not too bad with the audio. But no, like, again, like, when you're really listening to something and you go back to recordings, can you hear that? I'm like, no.
Yeah, same.
I'm
And
just
there's
terrible.
nothing wrong with that, but that's just because your frequency, like, you might
Crap ears.
You might have damaged your hearing, or like, it can happen where people hear different hertz. Like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
No, that's brilliant. So that was a brief introduction.
brief talk. Thank you, guys. Next, Chris.
No, but now to be fair to you, Billy, you've been years at it. You do know your stuff. Anything regards audio, I'll just go talk to Billy. Now I can see you flicking at your phone there, Billy. So you have done a bit of note taking, as I say.
I have done my own note taking over the years. Yeah.
So do you want to talk us through what you've got there? Is this where it kind of all began, so to speak, and what is sound and what is...
Well, I have the intro to the audio, like historic EVP. I'll read out a little bit of this for you. It's electronic voice phenomenon. Is a term used in the paranormal world for capturing spirit sounds, for want of a better term. But first, let's look at audio and what it is. Audio is all around us, every moment, night and day. It's the sounds we constantly hear while talking, listen to your favourite song, and even the sounds we can't hear, infrasound.
Yeah.
But it's still there in the background. Since the very first recordings, audio has made a huge impact on our lives. Today we have a multitude of audio formats available. For example, MPG, WAV files. They're what you save on your computer, etc., to choose from. Back in its infancy, audio was recorded in one form. It must have been really astonishing for anyone back then, like, you know, to play back the listener. But before the inventions of the recordings, people relied on live events to hear their favourite music or to watch. So when you think about it, back in the day, you had to go somewhere to hear something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So EVPs were a relatively new term. Like, we'll get into that in a bit as well. But
Would you say it's
fascinating?
Would you say it's a benefit to the paranormal investigation process as regards recording devices?
My personal opinion, and I think a lot of kind of higher end EVP guys would say that it's probably the best evidence that is out there in the paranormal.
Okay.
I
The
think so.
recordings.
Yeah. I think audio is the best evidence that we have.
Yeah. No, it's actually good because
they reckon. Sorry for cutting
No,
across.
you're right.
If they reckon that a spirit is energy, if it can transform that energy into audio.
Yeah.
Because audio is energy, like a digital recorder's energy, a magnetic tape recorder is energy, a phonograph, it's all energy. So if they can transfer that into energy, they can.
And one other thing that I want to ask is, explain it there for anybody starting off, or if anybody heard like an EVP.
Yeah.
That's not the recorder. I've heard this.
Yeah.
What Chris was saying.
We had
Chris
this.
brought this up
It
at the
just
very
annoys
start.
the shite out of me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Finn.
Just say it. It's like people would say.
An EVP, okay, let's get this straight,
so
is
explain
electronic voice phenomenon. It's not the device that it's recorded on. It's not an EVP recorder. It's a digital recorder. It's an analog recorder.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's not an EVP recorder, because it's just, if you want to call it a better term, it's an audio recorder. It's just recording audio. That's all
And
it
an
is.
EVP is an
Is a
electronic
term.
voice phenomenon.
Yeah, that's a phenomenon in the
That's what
paranormal
you
world.
possibly might catch.
Yeah, that's what you could catch
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
recording. So that's one thing that we kind of were talking about earlier, and it just annoys us.
And then you said actual voice phenomenon.
Actual voice
Can't even
phenomenon.
talk now. So what is an actual voice phenomenon?
If you are doing an EVP session and you hear the audio of what's coming through as you're doing an EVP session, that's an actual, and you've caught it on tape and you've heard it.
So
So
you-
that's AVP,
That's
actual voice
It's not
phenomenon.
Alien versus Predator.
Part 1 or 2.
So yeah, that's an actual voice phenomenon.
Perfect.
There's not much about it on the internet actually, but
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
No, it's something that I've heard a few years ago,
Yeah,
but it's
we-
not that.
Yeah,
It's not. It's new.
yeah, it's newer. It's newer.
I think we had a conversation before now. I'm kind of going off kilter. Hopefully have it in your notes there, Billy. When was the first interesting recording recorded by an individual who wasn't recording specifically to record paranormal events.
Oh, get out of it.
Did you know?
1960s and the 70s. It was called Spirit Audio back then, Chris, by a man named Konstantin Rudiv.
1960s.
1960s and 70s, yeah. It was back then. He was actually a bird watcher.
That's wasn't he trying to
It was
record?
way
he was
before
Swedish.
that.
He was trying to
Well,
record. Yeah, he was trying to record bird sounds or bird noises or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And but you could record it. Something else came through on the recording.
yeah.
Now, myself personally, I genuinely can't remember what it was, but I just remember we had a chat before, Billy, myself and yourself, I think it was, about what that was or why he was doing it or where he was doing it.
Yeah.
But
Well, you could go back as far as Thomas Edison, like, you know what I mean, and guys like
Sound.
that.
Yeah.
He invented where you could play it back, because the actual first audio recorder, the first audio device was invented by Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. He invented a device called the phonograph, and that was in 1857. They didn't have the invention to listen back to it.
Right.
They could record, but they couldn't play back. You know what I mean? So, but Thomas Edison said he could speak to spirits through it and stuff like that.
okay,
Yeah, apparently.
apparently.
That was in the 1870s.
Yeah.
Was it?
1877.
Okay, 1870s.
Yeah.
Not very good. So Billy, me buddy old pal, what has been your most? By the way, are you finished that bit? I didn't want to jump ahead of you, or
Oh, sorry, I was asleep.
oh,
Sorry.
right. There's no audio
What?
coming out of you there. You've nothing else you want to add to that, or can
I've
we-
loads, but we'll go into it later.
Oh, grand.
The next podcast.
The next part two. Billy, what is, without giving away, because if it is a private house investigation, or without giving that away, obviously, but what, in your opinion, has been the most, actually, what has been the most difficult place to record in, do you think?
Upstairs in Loftus Hall.
Really?
Out of wind, just
Really?
yeah. We have captured anomalies up there, but just
The wind.
The
you
wind.
Really have to like.
See, it's a
just-
big long hallway, so
Yeah.
you have to pick
I
where
love
you
the way
want to
Tina
face
turned and
them.
goes, it's a big long hallway, Chris.
Yeah.
Was it? No
Yeah,
way.
upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah,
I just
that
got a
was your
flashback
favourite,
there.
but
That was
yeah.
my favourite bit.
Yeah. I
Chris,
actually,
go
we
away.
got a really good anomaly with yourself and Wayne. Do you want to talk about that,
What
Tina?
was that? Stood up
Do you
in
remember
the bath
when
or
you were
something?
in Loftus Hall on the stairs? I think you were on the back stairs, you and Wayne, and you heard something you felt really uneasy one night.
Right, go on.
Yeah.
Walk
and,
me through that. I can't remember.
I'm telling it like Tina now, so I felt really uneasy one night, and I was with Wayne, and then Wayne loves me. Does you?
But no, go into that though, because
Yeah,
there
because
There's
was.
not something about banging on the window.
There was
or
a
something?
bang. There was a bang on the
Oh
window.
no, that was the second floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't the very
No,
top.
this is actual Tina's voice.
And it was
Tina.
This
recorded,
is
wasn't it?
actual, and that was recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the second floor. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't know. The top floor, I wasn't sure what you were saying,
The
but
back
the second
stairs,
floor.
wasn't it, or something?
This one, no, it wasn't the back stairs. It was up the main staircase.
Main staircase.
The devil's bedroom. No,
Yeah.
not the devil's bedroom. The bathroom at the
Bathroom.
end.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was like bangs on the window. You hungry, Jake? it was banging on the window. It was banging on the window.
There's 3 bangs on the window.
I don't know how many
Mustn't have
bangs.
been that
Was
scary.
it the window or the
No,
shutters on the window?
All joking aside,
Shutters.
and
Oh,
all
it was the show. It
honesty,
wasn't the. Okay.
There was you and Wayne were feeling really uneasy that night.
That was a terrible night, I have to
Yeah,
say.
and then you screamed like
Jump
always.
forward,
Jump
as
forward,
always.
and I captured the most
Disembodied voices, like
disembodied,
down the
weird
hallway.
screaming back at them.
Scream back at. No.
It sounded like again. It's an anomaly. I'm not saying it's paranormal.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's an anomaly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's paranormal, but
But we tried to reenact that.
tried
We
to
tried to
debunk it,
re-record and
yeah.
debunk, and we couldn't do
we'll get
it.
into that in a second.
But it was just
Yeah.
like an interesting scenario for you.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay, so so the question I was going to ask is the one I'm going to ask now. What has been the most convincing is probably the wrong word. What has been the most interesting? What was that, Jax? Oh, I thought you said so.
Notable.
Sorry, notable. Very good.
Notable, I like
What has
it.
been the most interesting / notable recording or EVP or AVP that you've
On a
got to
personal,
date?
well, AVP, we were at a private location, and I heard
I remember.
a whistle,
I know what he's gonna say.
and I shouted upstairs, "Anybody whistle?" And shout, why would we be whistling? We're doing a paranormal investigation. Genuinely,
Yeah.
you have to trust your teammates, number one.
Yeah.
Because if you can't, if they start messing and making sounds and it's coming through, like,
And also, when that whistle came through, the homeowner was there as well with us. So,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
was in the
Oh,
kitchen.
yeah.
there was
I heard
no
it.
messing, because I know
heard
we
it
have a
was-
laugh every
yeah.
now and then, but there was no
And
messing.
that's actually where we captured with the trail cam, the fridge door open, the same room. It's the same room. I heard a whistle basically, and shouted upstairs. Anybody whistle? No, and listened back on the digital recorder. We captured it. It was only a whistle, but it came from
You see, this
where
is
I
what
was
I
standing.
wanted to explain to people. So with Billy, it was, did you hear a whistle? We're like, no, there's no whistle and all. See, to us, that's not major. It's like we're doing the investigation, we're talking to the. But for Billy, he does the recordings. There was no reason for that whistle to be there. So that's why it's so interesting for you, because you know what you're listening
Absolutely. And then on a personal level, again, I know we talk about this place a lot, Loftus Hall. I was in the tapestry room, and it was the 4.5 hour
Oh, it was that session? Yeah.
And again, a couple of weeks later, could have been 6 to 8 weeks later, whatever, I was listening back, and I asked the question, are you here with me now? And I could hear something in the white noise, and I went back over the audio. It must have been an hour on just that one little section, and I captured something, and it absolutely it blew my mind what I heard. And I'm not going to say what it is.
Oh no,
I'll
of
put the
course.
example
Okay.
up on the podcast
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
I'll actually put it up now. We'll pause now for it.
Are you here with me now? Are you here with me now? Are you here with me now? Are you here with me now?
Perfect.
So that was the EVP guys. I don't know if you guys can hear anything, but it absolutely blew my mind. And it's on a loop 4 times, so you might hear me asking the question 4 times. But yeah, that blew my mind absolutely. Just on a personal level, because I knew there was nobody else.
Yeah. And this meant something to you, obviously.
Absolutely.
Like, you can even see when you're telling it there, it means something. Yeah.
Like, even like the hairs on my arms going up when I'm talking about that one. Like, I've got hairy arms.
So, Billy, I'm not finished with you now, just so you know, but you probably want a drink of water now at this stage. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break, 20 seconds. I'll be back to you in 20 seconds. Tina, audio, yes or no? Do you enjoy it? Do you prefer?
No, I love the audio.
Has there been a scenario or an instance where, like, what would be your favourite? So would there be one that stands out to you or anything at all like that? Now, I know we're not into the same depth as Billy here.
Any of the audio that Billy has sent on, in all fairness, would stand out to me. You
Oh,
know,
cool, yeah.
once I listen to a few times, I get adjusted to what I'm listening to. So anyone that Billy has sent on,
It's just been
we
interesting.
actually had one.
Billy, you're talking about to get an arrest.
Sorry.
Money
We
missed.
had one with Tina. Tina will actually agree with this one, and you guys. We were doing the private investigation, the same location as the whistle, and the digital recorder was left recording overnight. And do you remember when this guy knew the previous owner, and he knew that there was something that the previous owner and only him knew, and he wasn't there, and this anomaly came out, which was absolutely amazing, and he couldn't believe it. And we've actually played this example at the Horror Expo. Twice. And
that was brilliant.
A few people are actually.
He gave us permission to
Permission,
play
yeah.
it because we didn't
Full
give the
permission.
address. Or
Well, I think
we never give it.
wasn't there? I think a couple of people in the audience actually got it.
Yeah.
Without,
that's
because remember we done it in such a way. Don't tell us
yeah.
until the very end. We played a couple of times. And I think a couple of people.
They were
Yeah.
amazing, those
Yeah,
nights, actually. We
yeah.
used to do
That was really
talks,
interesting.
Yeah,
Shout
was
out!
really
Shout out to Sarah Cleary.
Yeah.
absolutely, Sarah.
Jake, how are you? Doing well.
Not too bad now.
I wanted to ask Jake one question.
Oh, go ahead.
before you
Yeah,
ask
ask
him.
away. Yeah.
Would you have the interest down that route, Jake? Would you do audio? Would you have the interest to sit and listen for that length and go over it and over it? And would that be something that you'd?
I've never tried it now, but I've never tried it myself.
But would you have the interest? You'd have to have the interest to do it if you were going to do it. Would that not be
I'd like to try it. I wouldn't just say if I had an interest or not without trying it.
And then on to you, Chris. That's what I was just wondering.
I'm going to answer the same question. I genuinely don't think I'd have the patience.
Would you not?
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'd just see a timer counting down, going, will you ever just get to the end? Do you know what I mean? I genuinely don't think. And I'll hold my hand up, no issue at all. I don't think I'd have the patience for it.
The night that we sat and watched Billy doing the audio was in another private one.
That's
in Dublin.
right.
Do you remember you had it set
Oh,
up
yeah,
and we
with
were
on the
looking
laptop.
live
Yeah.
while we had the
While we were
recorders on?
recording, yeah.
That was really
Yeah.
interesting.
The
actually.
spectrograph.
Yeah.
Because you could see, actually, we
Spikes now.
we could remember we captured the light switch.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
right.
normally- That was
That's
an
right,
AVP.
yeah. Another one, I'm going to say one that kind of stood out to me, but I'm not skipping Jet. Is there anything that stood out to you, really, as regards audio wise?
No, I haven't really. I've heard of the few that you've mentioned, but
Like, there wouldn't be anything where you go, oh,
no.
that stuck with me. The one that stuck with me was an AVP. I wonder,
I remember.
you know the
I
one?
know what you're going
You
to
know the
Loftus.
one?
Yeah.
No, actually, that's another one. It was the Cave of Cats.
Oh
my
my God.
Cave of
was
Cats.
brilliant.
Chris, you tell me.
Yeah.
Actually, do you still have that recording, do you?
Yeah, I'm actually going to put.
That was
we'll actually
probably
play
my
it.
favourite.
We'll actually play it now, guys.
So we're going to play it now, guys, just to give you an example, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Step through the mud on the floor first so we can hear you. Walk up towards us.
What is that? Is that one of us? I don't know.
Step through the mud on the floor first so we can hear you. Walk up towards us.
What is that? Is that one of us? I don't know.
Brilliant, we're back. So we're not in the cave, but we're back. But so basically, guys, to give you an understanding of what that was, of what
We
you just
were
heard,
in the cave.
we
when
were
this
in the
happened.
cave. It was myself, Billy, Tina, and Sinead, and we're down in the cave. And basically, for anyone that's never been there, it is quite a chore to get in. Do not recommend doing this on your own. Never do anything like this on your own.
Actually, don't go into it.
I want to get this off the top straight away.
We got in, but don't go in.
There was 4 of us there, and we were fairly well clued in. We're not saying you're not going to be, but do not do this on your own. Anyway,
It's a bit tight.
No,
Getting
just-
that. We were
just-
well
just don't
buttered up,
go in,
weren't we?
guys.
health and safety out of the way now. We're going to get to the story part. But yeah, look after yourselves out there, guys. Anyway,
This is Cave of Cats in Roscommon.
in Roscommon,
Right.
yeah.
So now
Long story
Birthplace of
short,
Halloween.
birthplace of Halloween. Long story short, it's meant to be a portal to the other side and all that kind of stuff. It's not a history on that. We might do it again sometime. But anyway, Billy went in. Weren't you down the furthest?
I went in first, and a cat. Do you remember? In cat, I went in backwards, and halfway down, I met a fucking in the middle of this little
cave
cave.
field.
This cat just shot out from nowhere.
So I had videoed Billy
Going in.
crawling in, down his hands and knees, crawling in, and then a few minutes later, and this cat just fucking legged it
Legged
out.
it out.
And then Billy comes out after the cat, like, Billy,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was
But,
going on. That was funny.
That was
Well,
actually
a cat in the cave of cats is
Cat in the Cave of
ironic.
Cats, a black
Yeah,
cat as well.
A black cat.
But sometimes they're good look. But so you were the furthest down the cave. So
That's
what
furthest.
this is, guys, it's like a tiny little opening. You crawl down. It's a
Backwards.
tiny.
You have to
Yeah,
go
it's
backwards.
like it's tiny, but then it actually opens up where you can stand up in it. Billy was the furthest down, and the best way to describe it, guys, it was like a muddy floor, kind of a sappy, muddy floor. Not a floor ground.
Yeah.
So it was Billy, myself, and was it Sinead and then you, or you and then Sinead? Which way was it?
Sinead and me.
That's Sinead and Tina. So basically, you probably heard it on the recording there, guys. You'll hear me saying, if there's anything here with us, can you walk? Was it walk up behind Billy, or step forward, or walk up
step
behind
forward.
Billy? Again, apology, guys. We haven't listened to the recording
Step forward in the
while we're
mud or
doing
something
this.
like that.
But and then you can hear what sounds like footsteps
Yeah.
walking up through the mud.
And you have to realise that we were underground. There was no
Yeah.
outside noise. There was no
This
moving.
is-
There's no
how far
breezes.
would you
There's
reckon?
no drips.
Oh, it's at least 40 feet under.
Yeah, it's a fair bit down. Like.
It's a fair
So
bit
there's
down.
there's no outside influences that could make this sound whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the
we
four
know,
of us were standing.
again, we have complete trust in each other.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
not any
black
of us.
dark.
She can actually hear us, like us who moved.
Yeah.
Straight, and you can hear the
Straight away.
torch. You can hear the
Going
torch
on.
turning on.
Yeah.
And none.
And there was no
none moved.
footsteps moved. There was because it was all mucky. There was nobody had moved their foot. Like
So to me, again, you can never say that's
But that was
to
an
me that's an
interesting-
interesting one. That's just always one that pops into my mind,
Yeah.
and that's what we say an actual.
Actual voice.
that was
voice
an
phenomenon.
Well, that
actual
wasn't a voice. It was
Not even a
sound.
voice, like actual ASP.
Actual sound phenomenon. Phenomenon.
But no, it's just very interesting. And as I said, it's Jake's not enjoying himself at all.
Oh, yeah.
The producer here is looking at us like.
But no, it's just
No, it's very interesting.
it was just interesting from that point of view. When I asked the question, it happened, and again, you can never say. But was it a water drop that hit the ground, or was it?
It was a big fucking water drop, and it had foot. It was walking.
It had toes.
Nah, this was something that was.
Yeah.
It was definitely something that was because we could hear water dropping all around because there's
Yeah.
stalactites, which goes up, which comes down.
The tight sign of the
Look at
Lord.
Billy,
yeah.
Billy with his knowledge.
I tell you one thing, yeah.
Jesus, Billy.
And it was full of all this, like when
Yeah.
you go down into it, it's really slippy, guys, and it's full of all this scully mud and all. So
One-
don't
one-
go into it.
One
yeah.
thing I want to just highlight as well, because we always say that this is treated as a sacred place as well.
Oh yeah.
So
So we did treat it. With
we
respect.
treat it with respect, and we're not saying that you're going to do it to disrespect, but if treat it with respect, because it
Yeah,
is treated as
any
such.
location you go to treat. it with respect.
So that was my one. Now, Billy, I'm getting back to you again. Going forward, do you think the development of technology or how it's advancing is beneficial or not beneficial to audio?
It's always going to
Investigate.
be. It's always going to be beneficial. How beneficial is hearsay.
Here's no very good, brilliant, but
Yeah.
here's the question I have for you, right? You've probably seen the pictures online of pictures
Yeah.
that have been obviously amended, for want of a better word.
That's a very loose term.
Do you think it's easy to what's the word I'm looking for?
Amend audio.
Manipulate.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
manipulate or
Yeah.
doctor.
Yeah,
or,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Easily. But if you do that, you're cheating yourself, and you're going to have that in your conscience
yeah,
for the remainder of your
Good
paranormal.
answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
no,
wouldn't-
I agree with
I
you.
wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I get because the reason I'm so excited is because I know that anything that we've
It's
captured
genuine.
is genuine.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. No, that's
Now, on the other hand of that, the other side of the coin is we have had people, unfortunately, send us in audio that unfortunately
Has been
doctored, and unfortunately, they have argued that it hasn't been doctored, and have got quite snotty with us over the fact that we've called them out on it.
And like
It's-
the
it's
pictures
horrible.
that are sent
And then
in,
again, people
has to
have
be done.
but people have sent us in genuine audio that
we
we
really
can't.
look at.
But
Yeah.
because I haven't been there, the team haven't been there, we take it with a really light pinch of salt,
yeah.
grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it is one of those things where you could be provided with the best invertebrate evidence ever, but you'd still have the fact to say, I wasn't there, I didn't experience it myself.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
it's
I mean?
all down.
It's all-
Then it's all down to trust.
Exactly.
Well, there's the pros and there's cons of it. Like I'll read a bit of it out here. For
Yeah,
you
go
if
ahead,
you want,
absolutely.
yeah. There are many pros to using audio in the research element of the paranormal. For its mere existence is testament that there is more seen and heard than what we can comprehend. Numerous are pros of using audio in this field. The first example is eyewitness accounts. Simple as that. We all heard stories of people hearing noises that were not made by them in places, and these sounds should not happen. For example, a lady or a gentleman walking into a room on their own when suddenly a voice is heard from an empty corner. People have witnessed that. Exactly where the audio can play is very important, and that role. We can listen to eyewitness accounts and place their recording and devices to specific points of interest. That's the pros of it.
Yeah.
And then there's cons, and cons we just actually spoke about.
about
You
it.
don't really need to go back over that bit.
Here's a question actually I don't think we covered. So the positioning of the digital recorder, do you leave it, I kind of know the answer, do you leave it sitting on the ground or sitting on an object or standing freestanding?
I like to sit it off the ground.
Yeah.
Because like if you move your feet, I like to have it on a kind of either a table or on something soft,
Yeah.
like a piece of foam or something on it.
Yeah.
And if pointing away from you if possible, and at the far side of the room. If it's far side of the room, it can point towards you, but if you have it in front of you, pointing away from you.
And why is that?
To pick up anything that's, if there is paranormal event happening in front of you, it's picking it up. Now, they will pick up anything in the room, but they obviously like the field of vision. It'll have a field
Yeah.
of audio that
Yeah,
it can pick up.
yeah.
You know,
No, that's brilliant.
and if audio moves from left to right, you can pan it. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
No, that's brilliant. I think I've quizzed you.
yeah.
I think
I'm
I've-
sorry again when I'm reading, guys, if I'm making a little bit of a boo boo because I've made so many typos in this.
I don't worry. It's not an English or a grammar test, Billy. Don't worry.
No, I'm happy with what I've heard, and
You've got the job.
you've you know, we'll ring you.
Yeah, just let me know.
There's another 2 interviews now
That's okay.
in front of the panel's
okay.
going to be bigger the next time.
That's okay. That's all good.
You've got through to the first round.
I've got through
Of
to-
PRI.
I just need to get the digital recorder now and a laptop and I'm set.
Oh, brilliant. But no, listen, we appreciate you with that, Billy, because there is a good bit of knowledge in
And I
that.
appreciate you, Chris.
Billy, thank you.
I appreciate
It's
Tina
about
and
time.
I appreciate Jake.
It only took 15 episodes. It only took 15 episodes.
To appreciate
Yeah.
you. Oh, shit. Let the side down. I actually didn't. Oh no! I just realised I didn't slag you tonight.
So that's the thing.
Oh.
But no, listen, Billy, really appreciate it. There's a fair bit of
Thank you,
knowledge in
guys.
there, and sometimes it's good to chat and try. What's the word I'm looking at? Extract it.
Extract the information.
Extract the
Because I don't talk
information.
much, it's very difficult to get
Yeah.
stuff out of me.
But I've no more questions, so I'm happy enough, unless the guys do.
With me, no, from the day you started doing the audio, watching you doing it, I just think you're the best in the field.
Thank you very much. That
I have
means
to
a
say,
lot.
I've
That
great
means a
faith
lot.
in you.
I love doing it. I have
Yeah.
to say, I do love doing it.
I've never met anybody as dedicated, like, all jokes aside, as dedicated
Yeah.
as Billy with the audio.
I do
Like,
love
and
it.
we appreciate you. We
Oh,
couldn't
100%.
frickin' do that.
100%.
The work
Thank
you
you.
do behind the scenes, we couldn't do that. You
Thank
know,
you.
that's what I was saying. Everybody on the team has their little Billy's crying there. Jake, give him a hug, will you?
No.
No.
This means the world to me. I want to thank,
And here,
thank
there's
my
your,
digital recorders for
there's
being there when I
your-
needed them.
there's your little thing.
Oh,
You've got your little.
I got a Specsavers case for a reward. I'd like to
something
thank
as reward,
Audio for just existing.
giving me purpose in my life.
My purpose in my life.
The audio of this podcast could be cut very short if you don't shut up.
I'm editing it, Chris. So
But I know, listen, Billy, as just echoing what Tina said, they're echoing. Do you like the way I done
I
that?
like that.
Do you like
That.
No, it is appreciated, and as I said, I genuinely wouldn't have the patience for what you do because I don't know, I
It's
couldn't
like
do
this,
it.
Chris. If I can put up listening to you for an hour,
I can listen to audio for
audio.
8 hours.
We had
And I got
nearly,
my joke, and in that one, I'll drop the mic.
we
I'm
nearly,
gone.
we nearly had the 15 episode. You know. Anyway, Jack, over to you. Any questions for William? William? No.
I love you, Chris.
Any questions, Jacob?
No, no.
God for that.
Jacob.
Jake will come down with a humdinger, and I
Oh,
won't have the
Jacob.
answer.
But no, listen, guys, that's it from me then. We very much appreciate your time, Billy, and to the listeners out there,
Where do I sign for my check?
we hope you appreciate it.
Where do I
Talk
sign
to
for
you
my
later
check?
about that.
No. This is not going out until I get paid. Guys, anybody?
Sorry, your audio's breaking up there. Anyway,
It's up.
but no, to the listeners out there, we appreciate it and thank you for listening to our audio as well. So anyway,
Jake just muted me.
Jake muted Billy.
Jake just muted me. You just muted me, Jake. Thank you.
No, that's it. That's it from me, Tina.
Bill,
Jake.
and Chris,
and I think I'm still muted.
are you know? And as always, guys, whatever you do, always remember the most important thing: stay spooky.
You have been listening to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. Intro and outro music, Nothing to be Scared of by Kakuru. Main theme background music, The Trauma of Lost by Miles Avida. Both intro, outro and main theme music sourced through the Epidemic Sound app. PRI podcast recorded and produced by Jake and edited and mixed by Bill using Adobe Audition. We hope you enjoyed our podcast, so why not join us for our very next Supernatural podcast coming very soon.